The Defence Secretary's statement. Secretary of State John Healey.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Today, HMS Prince of Wales set sail from Portsmouth, and I trust the whole House will join me in wishing the entire Carrier Strike Group a safe and successful global deployment. Mr. Speaker, I wish to make a statement on the ongoing war in Ukraine. Today, Parliament returns from our Easter break, but during the last 2 weeks, Putin's illegal invasion of Ukraine has continued. Drone strikes, missile attacks, fierce fighting on the front line. On Palm Sunday, men, women and children in Sumy, on their way to church, were hit by Putin's deadliest attack on Ukrainian civilians so far this year, killing 35 people, including young children, and injuring over 100 more. We're united in condemnation of this brutal attack and of Putin's illegal actions. At this critical moment for Ukraine and for European security, we have stepped up the government's efforts for Ukraine, and we will step up further, both to increase military support for the fight today and to secure peace for tomorrow. Mr. Speaker, we cannot jeopardise the peace by forgetting about the war. So 10 days ago in Brussels, the UK convened and I co-chaired the 27th meeting of the Ukraine Defence Contact Group, alongside my good friend, the German Defence Minister, Boris Pistorius. 51 nations and partners from Europe, from the Indo-Pacific, from South America, came together at NATO headquarters, with the Ukrainian President Zelensky, the US Defence Secretary Hegseth, and the NATO Secretary-General Mark Rutte. We came together to step up support for Ukraine in the fight. Together we pledged a record 21 billion euros of military support to put Ukraine in the strongest possible position and to increase pressure on Putin to negotiate. Mr. Speaker, this year the UK is providing £4.5 billion of military support to Ukraine, more than ever before. And in Brussels, I announced 200 million of this support will be surged to the front line, with supplies starting to reach Ukraine's fighters within this month, including radar systems, anti-tank mines, and hundreds of thousands of drones. I also announced £160 million worth to help repair and maintenance of essential battlefield vehicles and equipment. This support will strengthen Ukrainian troops in the close fight now. It will also strengthen our industrial links with Ukraine and boost UK businesses. When President Trump talks about peace through strength, it is the commitments made through the Ukraine Contact Group that provide the strength to secure that peace. And despite President Putin's promise of a 30-hour pause in fighting, I can confirm that Defence Intelligence have found, and I quote, no indication that a ceasefire on the front line was observed over the Easter period. And 10,000 missiles and drones have been fired into Ukraine during this year alone, including from the Black Sea. So while Putin has said he declared an Easter truce, he broke it. While Putin says he wants peace, he's rejected a full ceasefire. And while Putin says he wants to put an end to the fighting, he continues to play for time in the negotiations. And the Russian military, continue to pressure Ukraine on a number of fronts. Mr. Speaker, I can confirm Russian military progress is slowing. Putin gained less territory in March than he did in February, less territory in February than he did in January. Ukrainian towns, which Russia has been targeting since before Christmas, have still not been captured. Ukrainian troops have still not been ejected from Russian territory in Kursk. Whatever ground Putin is taking comes at a huge human cost. Over 940,000 Russians have likely been killed or injured in the war so far, including 150,000 killed or injured this year alone. Last month, the average daily casualty rate on the Russian side was 1,300, almost double the rate of this time last year. While at home, Putin faces crippling interest rates at 21%, inflation running at over 10%, and the Russian government spending nearly 40% of its entire budget on this military campaign. I have to say, Mr. Speaker, in the days ahead, it is, however, likely that Russia will keep up attacks on the Sumy Oblast to help it reclaim nearby contested areas of Kursk. In central Donetsk Oblast, Russia is targeting urban strongholds such as Terezk, Pavlovsk and Chaziv Yar. And in Kharkiv, Russia is continuing to make assaults towards the rail and logistics hub of Kupiansk. We do expect more ground to be taken, more Russian missiles to be fired into Ukraine. And that is why we must remain united for Ukraine, across this House, across this country, and across those nations standing alongside Ukraine. And we must step up support for Ukraine and pressure on Putin to force him to recognise that now is the time for peace, and continuing the war will prove much worse in the long run for Russia. Mr. Speaker, we believe peace is possible, and we must be ready for when that peace comes. So along with the vital military aid, the UK government continues this push for peace. The Foreign Secretary joined ceasefire discussions with the US, France and Germany and Ukraine in Paris last week, and in Brussels 10 days ago, along with my good friend the French Minister Sébastien Lecornu, I also convened and co-chaired the first Defence Ministers meeting of the Coalition of the Willing. 30 countries coming together to build on the hard work of over 200 military planners from Europe and beyond. That operational planning must remain classified, but I can assure the House these plans are real, they're substantial, they're well developed. Our reassurance force will have clear objectives for Ukraine. First, to secure safe skies. Second, to secure safe seas. Third, to support peace on the land. And fourth, to support the Ukrainian armed forces to become their own strongest possible deterrent against future Russian attacks. And in the days ahead, this detailed planning continues domain by domain, and nations will continue to provide firm commitments for this coalition. I will be also meeting tomorrow the Ukrainian Defence Minister Umerov and other allies as the government brings together the US, the UK and European ministers and national defence security advisors to discuss next steps, including what a ceasefire might look like and how to secure peace in the long term. Mr. Speaker, this war was never just about the fate of one nation. It's about not allowing national borders to be redrawn by force. It's about preventing aggressors across the world from being emboldened to threaten the security of all nations. And that's why the defence of the UK starts in Ukraine. It's why UK leadership is playing a unique role to put Ukraine in the strongest possible position on the battlefield and in negotiations. And also to prepare building blocks for a lasting peace that will safeguard Ukraine's sovereignty and deter Putin from future aggression. Mr. Speaker, I hope this House today will join in sending a signal to President Putin and in saying to Ukraine, we will stand with you in the fight and we will stand with you in the peace whenever that may come.